Get your bows and arrows ready because Hawkeye is getting his own series. And that, Endgame clips, so many Endgame clips, and we are going to talk about that Thanos Ant-Man theory that we all know you want to hear more about on Marvel Movie News.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Welcome. Can you hear me?
Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
All right.
Welcome.
Can you guys all hear me?
We hear you now.
I can hear you.
All right. Somebody's messing with the microphones, and I think it's Clint Barton because he's too excited about what we're talking about today on Marvel Movie News. That's right. This is Marvel Movie News. Thank you for tuning in, Marvelites. We are coming to you live from Thanos' butt.
Yeah.
If you don't know why that's funny and an insane thing, we are going to get into it. The internet has been abuzz for weeks about this Ant-Man theory involving Thanos' rear end.
Yes.
And I felt like it was finally time. We've got to address it on the show. But first, there's so much other news to talk about, including that new Hawkeye series. 2 more Marvel series coming to Disney Plus on the unscripted side.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. Let's dive in. But first, I'm going to tell you who's on the show today. I'm Zach Wilson, the voice of Doom, corporealized. We've got Xia Anderson.
I'm the most excited to talk about Thanos' butt. Is that weird?
Yeah, just a little, but also not surprising for anyone who knows you.
Just dead silence, like no one knows how to respond to that. You know what we need? You know what we haven't established for you guys? Because we also have Christian Bladt.
Hey, that's me. I'm Christian Bladt.
And this is what I want to pose right here at the top to our listeners. I'm Doom. We have all from all the old cast. We got Doctor Strange. We got a Spidey. We got a Captain Marvel, specifically the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
You guys know I'm talking about Markia. But we don't have characters that we've permanently attached to the personalities of these two over here. And I don't want to do it. I want the fans to do it.
I think the fans should do it, but
Yeah.
my vote's for Jubilee right here next to me.
Damn it, Christian. Don't put that in people's heads.
You're always wearing that yellow raincoat.
Yeah,
So I
yellow.
pose that to you guys. Let us know who should be Doom's cohorts on Marvel Movie News. Of course, we've got Colpado helping us out on social media from the Star Jammer. You can follow us on Twitter at Marvel News PTN. Also follow the Popcorn Talk. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, all of those fancy things that really do help us out. It sounds like we're just like, please give us an ego boost by reviewing the podcast. No, it really does help people find the show. It helps us keep the lights on in the studio. But that's all out of the way. Let's dive into the news. We're going to talk about the TV stuff, including Hawkeye, in a little bit. But let's talk about the new Endgame clip that came out this week. Did you guys watch it?
Yes, and it's getting harder and harder for me to wait for the movie every time I see something like this. Dang it, you guys.
It's getting close, and they keep putting out more teasers. And every time I see that they've posted one, my brain is like, no, don't watch it. Don't watch it. But then I know I have to talk about it, so I watch it anyway.
Yeah.
So the new clip, in case you guys haven't watched it, I'm not going to... We'll talk about it. So, fair warning. We're going to talk about the scene. But the good news is, all of the moments that they've been pulling from seem to still be from the same series of moments, very clearly from the first act, and all around that the beginning of the mission, the launch of the mission. We've seen a couple battle scenes. This scene it looks like it's just after Captain Marvel arrived. It's the basically what happens right up before the moment where Thor pulls Stormbreaker.
Says, I like this one.
I like this one. It's a cool little scene. It sort of is what do you guys think of the team dynamic that we're seeing so far?
I mean, I like that we're kind of getting both. I like that we had War Machine being like, who are you? Who are you? Why are
Where
you here?
you been, lady?
Yeah, like, why have you...
I also like it's finally that moment where Rhodey's like, "Oh, hey, I'm not the new guy." Yeah, new girl. What are you doing? So I think he's like, finally, I get to give somebody some hazing. But I mean, he raises a good point.
It's true. It's like, wait, you just walked in. We've been fighting all this time. But I liked her response, though. Like, that was actually a perfect response. Well, there are other universes, and they don't have you guys, so...
Yeah, there's tons of planets
Hello?
out there.
God, guys.
The universe doesn't revolve around Earth. Literally, it doesn't revolve around Earth.
I don't know. In the Marvel universe,
Yeah,
that's debatable. Literally, the comics have gone into how like central, like Earth is a like focal point in the universe.
I mean-
there's like because they have to explain why all of the major universe bending events happen at this like weird little planet in the middle of
And
nowhere.
the same 20 block radius of Manhattan for the most part.
Even
Yeah.
Manhattan specifically becomes like the nexus point between universes, just because like they needed a reason to explain why all of this stuff goes down in New York City.
I mean, New York City is the city, though, if you think about it, in the U.S. Like, what else do we have? L.A.? It's not really a city.
I mean, I don't disagree. As a New Yorker, I don't disagree with you. However, I know that that's because I'm from New York.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's even coming from, like, where I come from, which is literally the middle of freaking nowhere in the Pacific. Like, to me, it was always New York. Like, that was the place. Like,
Look.
that's the city.
If you can save the universe there, you can save the universe anywhere. That's all I'm saying.
What?
New York City.
I need you to clip that out and tweet that because that's fantastic.
But so in this, it's like we got a little bit more of the team dynamic with Carol, and like, I do think it's interesting that Carol doesn't like seem to click with them at this moment. Like she does seem separate from everyone. Like everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Who are you?" Like they don't trust her yet.
Right.
She would have just arrived there. I imagine this is probably the scene right after the "Where's Fury?"
Yeah.
moment.
But it makes sense. Like, if they've been working together for how many years now?
Yeah, the Avengers have been a team
yeah.
for years, even the ones who have like separated for a while.
They all know each other.
And I mean, she comes in, all confident. They don't know her. It's like, yeah, well, you didn't have me before. And it's like, okay. Well, we didn't have Speedball either, and I don't think that's going to make a difference. New girl.
New girl.
But so what do you guys think? And Chad, I'm also curious about your take on this. Like, because Carol is saying, like when they're like, we're going to attack, what they say in this clip, we're going to attack. We're taking the battle to Thanos. Like we see a little like holographic projection of a planet. I imagine it's the farm planet. They've somehow tracked him.
Yeah. Yeah, and they say, well, I don't think that's giving anything away. Just he's used the stones again to do something.
But now we
Yeah.
know that we know what roughly the plan is. And again, this is like first act, probably within the first 30 minutes of this
Right.
3-hour movie. But their plan is to get the Infinity Gauntlet back and undo it. They do believe they can undo the snap if they get the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right. And I keep thinking it has to be a sneak mission, because even with her, even with all of her powers and as powerful as she is, I don't think she's any match against the stones. If he could just literally snap her out of existence, do whatever he wants to her.
Well, that's
she
the
can't
thing.
get to him fast enough.
Her line, like, "This time you'll have me," is like, yeah, she is definitely the most powerful, like, just on a pure, like, amount of power scale.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carol Danvers is infinitely powerful. I wonder if there's, and this is sort of my theory with her, she may be, to a certain extent, immune from the Infinity Gauntlet. Because her power
came from an Infinity
comes
Stone.
from an Infinity Stone.
Right.
Like she's biologically connected to an Infinity Stone. So I have to think that that's not to say that she would be totally immune, but she may be able to stop it more than anyone else, just because there's like a partnership.
That makes sense.
So it's sort of, it becomes like a parent that won't attack their child kind of thing.
Right, because she is of the stone, so they can. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Oh,
it just physically can't affect her.
That'd be cool.
So
Or she gets snapped away in minute 35 in the movie and she's barely...
no.
That'd be hilarious. I would laugh so hard.
It's like, oh yeah, you are very powerful, and now you're not.
Goodbye. You are the weakest link. Yeah.
Because but it's the space stone. So I wonder if like maybe it's just like the space stone can't affect her. Like he tries to teleport her and he can't. But like the reality stone would be able to.
Right.
For example, it'll be interesting to see if that if that happens.
Well, let me just say in the chat, Goldman Vision is thinking the same way I am. $10 says that Carol's the first one to get killed.
That would be so funny. They hype up the whole thing. She's the most powerful.
she
She's going to
could
make
beat
a
him.
difference in the Avengers, and then nope.
Don't kill Carol.
I would be laughing so
Just
hard.
got her. Anyway, so that's also being up. We also got another teaser that was a little bit more of the scene walking up to like what we've predicted to be a quantum realm like journey in the white suits, the like fancy white suits.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the Russos were talking about a little bit about it. The choices to put them in those white costumes was partially just so that this movie felt different than every other movie before.
Okay.
Because not just like, oh, they're in different uniforms, but it's also the first time that they've ever matched as
You're
Avengers.
right.
They've always had their individual costumes, just like the comics. Like every character comes dressed in
Right.
their own sparkly outfit. But this is the first time that the on-screen Avengers have ever worn matching outfits, costumes, armor, whatever, and that does visually just immediately separate. Like they've become much more of a team here than they ever were before.
And I swear to God, if Cap doesn't say Avengers Assemble in this movie,
We're gonna talk about that
cry.
at the back of the show during because actually there's a Doom's question corner question that was sent in that I want to talk about that.
all right, well then I'm gonna hold my tongue.
But the part that I think was Cap does give a little speech here, and there's a cute moment with Rocket. Like I love that moment. Rocket's just like he's good at those. It's like yeah,
Yeah.
The psych up speeches. Peter Quill's not great at them.
No.
Here and they're standing in a circle. Here we are. And if we could, Jello, if we could throw up this photo here, actually. Because they all put their hands in. And so my brain immediately went to Guardians. Here we are. 9 jackasses standing in a circle. Because there are 9 hands in that circle. And so here's the interesting thing. There's 9 of them. Carol's not with them.
Right.
Like if you count. So this is either pre-Carol showing up or they've split off into separate parties. You've got Nebula there, you've got Widow there, you've got Clint there, you've got Scott there, you've got Cap, you've got Rocket, you've got Tony, who we see in this trailer, and you've got the War Machine, Rhodey, and you've got Rocket. Did I say Rocket?
You said Rocket.
I said Rocket.
You said Rocket. We're missing one.
Who did I mess up on?
Bruce?
Bruce.
There we go.
Who we also haven't seen here, actually.
We haven't, so we don't know.
But looking at these hands, they're all in gloves, so you can't really tell.
But if there was a Hulk hand there,
We would know.
Well, so this is this could be Marvel messing with us. So there's 9 hands here. Either Bruce or Carol aren't going. Who is it?
well,
I want to say Bruce.
Fury in the chat from Ryan Kerrigan says that, and I assume it's a male Ryan. My apologies if not, but he says, excuse me, I think Captain Marvel's power will be used to charge and further control the quantum realm, which would keep her busy, but she won't actually be in the battle. So, so that some way powering their ship or keeping tabs on them, it's something like that. Where,
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
It's the only character where you could imagine something like that because you're not going to have a Hank Pym or anyone even remotely smart enough. You have Banner, but he hasn't actually taken the trip before. So, even though Scott's gone, he doesn't actually know how to do it.
But Banner and Tony, for that matter, now that we know for sure that Tony is in this scene, I think they could easily take whatever Scott's got, and I'm sure that they could access Pym's notes. And Scott's also not an idiot. He's a skilled. He's an engineer.
He's a good thief.
No, but Scott Lang, like he may not be a true like scientist in that way. He's not a theoretical physicist by means, but he is an electrical engineer with extremely good capabilities. Like you see it in the first Ant-Man. He's not just crafty, but he knows how things work. And so working with Hank and Janet and Hope, I'm sure that he picked up enough to be able to communicate the ideas of the quantum realm to Tony and Bruce, who could extrapolate that.
He could, at the very least, give them the basics so they have
plus, if
something
he
to
got
work
out,
off of.
he probably just drives the van over. So they've
hope
got
so.
like the point is they have the tech that they, and the tech and the knowledge they need with this team
Yeah.
to pull it off. But I'm glad that we're not going any further than we seem to have. We have 2 weeks, you guys. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
I'm gonna skip it. Yeah, too much hype. It's not gonna live up to it. You guys tell me how it was.
Yeah, sure.
That's fine. I'll take your ticket.
I'll go see Hellboy again.
Again?
By that point, it'll be again.
You're right.
So we got those clips. As far as like moving on from the Endgame clips, because we could talk about these forever, because I'm so excited for Endgame. Kevin Feige talking about a little bit about the post Endgame Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Just a 5-year plan. That's all we
He
get.
said that he has a 5-year plan in place already. I imagine he honestly has like a rough like 20-year plan.
Yeah.
He said as much like a few years ago. He was like, I have like 20 years mapped out, but it all adjusts. Like, I mean, look, they announced the Inhumans, and then like, ooh.
We don't talk about that.
But like things change, like
Right.
things adjust.
No,
But
and at some point they'll be able to have the FF and the X-Men. So
Well,
that's not
that's-
something that he could have planned for.
Right.
But this is part of the statement that he made this week was they have a 5-year plan, and what he said is that it does not currently involve anything with X-Men or the Fantastic Four.
Sorry, Christian.
Well, here's the thing: all of that changes.
Yeah.
One, Feige lies.
True. True.
Serpent Society.
Well, that was like 5 minutes of lying.
Hey, that still counts as a lie.
But I mean, but it makes sense. He's only been able to legally play with those characters for a couple weeks at this point. The Russos also were very definitive this week, and like there's no X-Men or Fantastic Four stuff in this movie. My conspiracy theory still stands.
Yeah, until the movie's over and the lights come on, I'm with you that there could still be something.
I'll still be
but-
waiting around for like 10 minutes after that. Be like, there could be something.
But I do think that I do think this 5-year plan it will end up adjusting for some X-Men or FF properties. If nothing else, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
I think
otherwise-
we can expect a Deadpool movie within the next 2 or 3 years. Like, there's going to be an adjustment period, as I'm sure that they're working on stuff in the background, but Disney has to adjust their plans, their release schedules, and all that. Like, because this is the unfortunate negative thing of Disney owning all these properties is Disney's not going to want to counter program themselves. You're not going to see like the way we've had Deadpool come out 2 or 3 weeks ahead of an Avengers movie. Like, and it's just not going to happen because Disney's not going to want to be taking their own money away by having two Marvel movies in the theaters, like really in the theaters at the same time. They're going to want to spread them out more.
Even though I think it's a slightly different audience with that. I mean,
It is and it isn't. Like,
Yeah.
your key demographic is still the same.
True.
So they're going to end up spreading them out more. Now, in a year like this, Spider-Man comes out in July. By the way, Kevin Feige also said he's not going to tell us anything about this 5-year plan until after Spider-Man comes
Wait till
out. So we have to
July.
wait until. I think he did also say they're planning to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year.
he did say that, yeah.
Yeah,
and he
so-
said even that's giving away too much. And I
Which
was
is-
like, what?
I was like,
I
how is
don't
that
think that's
giving
really
away
giving
too
much
much?
away. No.
That you have movies to announce?
Like, we all kind of figured.
Like, even if we didn't know what those movies were, we sort of know that you're not going to shut down the most, like, financially successful franchise in cinematic history, which is true, depending on how you define franchise.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think it's even more than James Bond at this point. I think they have more movies, and all of those weren't successes.
Wow.
Not more movies, because James Bond has, like, 27?
Does
I
it?
thought the 23 is the next one, but I might
Is
be
it
wrong. I
23?
might be wrong.
Oh, I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, because it's untitled James Bond 23. So with Endgame,
you're
you have the
right.
same number of movies, and they didn't make this. Even if you adjust for inflation, you know, the Man with the Golden Gun didn't make the kind of money that Thor Ragnarok did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I personally think it's misleading to characterize the MCU as a franchise.
Yeah,
like I would say
sure.
Captain America is a franchise, and you could argue that like the Avengers movies are included in his franchise.
That's
but
right.
I don't think. But I think it's too wide scale, because otherwise it's
broad.
like you should be combining all of the DC movies. Yes, they're not connected like story wise, but also people aren't seeing them the same way. Anyway, this is all irrelevant. But so I'm curious if you guys are like, what are you expecting to see from this 5-year plan that I imagine he's going to reveal probably in San Diego?
I mean, I'm assuming the Eternals is going to be on there, even though they're saying that's all just speculation. I'm guessing that that's going to be a part of it.
The Eternals, and we have some casting news with Eternals. I'll just drop it. I'll just bring it up now.
Yeah, let's do it.
The rumor is, and this is all just rumor, Kumail Nanjiani is supposedly in talks to join the Eternals.
So curious.
Stand-up comedian. He was on Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen that,
Silicon Valley.
yeah,
And
Really funny.
He's in the premiere of the new CBS All Access Twilight Zone, which he was great in. So he's keeping very busy right now.
yeah, he's a fantastic actor. I really loved, and like he also co-wrote this with, I believe, his wife.
His wife, yeah.
The Big Sick.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic actor. He's also hysterical.
He's funny.
So, what is the tone of this movie?
I want to know. I'm so curious now.
Because it's the Marvel tone, but if all these rumors are true, you're going to have the Eternals with Angelina Jolie and Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah,
What is that combination of people
I know.
that I would never expect to see together?
It makes me more excited for the movie because I really don't know what to expect.
Well, that's, I think, what they're hoping for by
Yeah.
even doing an Eternals movie is much like the way that we did Guardians, is the audience was able to go in completely fresh.
Yeah.
Because like we all have our beliefs on, like, we know what we're gonna see if we go see a Spider-Man movie. Like, we may not know the specifics of the plot or like exactly what villain they're gonna do the whole time, or twists and turns and stuff, but we know what we're getting from a Spider-Man movie. When people went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, they went in going, what is this? And they had no expectations as well.
Right.
So the audience could be surprised by getting emotionally connected to a talking tree that can only say 3 words. Like, that is the kind of thing that you get when you pick characters that people aren't familiar with. So
Right.
the Eternals, where they're not beholden to anyone's like strongly loved canon, because the Eternals just doesn't have that same connection to people that like the way that it has on the Captain America has on tons and millions of people. No one's gonna be like, a few tiny little nerds on the internet might be like, "That's not the Eternals that I love," but most people are just gonna be like, "This is cool. What the hell is this?" And you can go back and read the old versions if you want.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of the times what happens. Somebody watches it and then they go back and read it. And that's always much less disappointing than when you read something and then watch an iteration of it. Like, I would way rather watch something first than read it later.
Yeah.
Just because then you're not disappointed.
So as far as like who Kumail Nanjiani could play in the Eternals, I have no idea.
There was speculation that he might play the first openly gay superhero, but I think they're also looking for an actual, like an openly gay actor to play that, to fill that role. So that's just speculation. But I would be, open to that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. That's an interesting debate that we could have, but we don't have time for. Of
No.
like, like is sexual orientation something that you want to cast in line with the actor?
I mean, I'll just give my very short 2 cents on that. No, I think that as an actor, you're playing pretend to begin with. So why are we splitting hairs when it comes to that? I think that Hilary Swank did a fantastic job in Boys Don't Cry, and I think it can be done. It doesn't.
I agree.
Yeah, you can pick the right person.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like that could be. I mean, Eternals has been when they've said, and like people have continued to say, that there is a homosexual character of one form or another. We don't know man, we don't know woman, like we don't know non-binary. Who knows?
Right.
But somebody is coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in some form. The Eternal seems the most easy way to do it because you don't have those expectations.
Right.
So you could have a lead character who is gay. And if it's Kumail playing him, great. Let's see what he does.
I can see it already.
But as far as which of the Eternals, like, any number of options.
Right, and there's also the notion that it could just be some, invented character who's sort of like our way into the world of the Eternals. He could just be some human guy who happens in there, and it gives us that perspective.
He could be like the Coulson of the Eternals.
Yeah.
Yeah. That like if he's a central character, but I think like if they're gonna do that, he'll wind up being like an Eternal. Like it'll be a reveal towards the end,
Right.
Like I don't think that they would bring him in. I don't know. He could also. We also don't know that he's necessarily a hero.
True.
As for the big picture of the 5-year plan that we were talking about, I mean, there's some obvious stuff in there, like your Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2, and like when we might get those. And, Guardians 3 is officially happening just later than anyone expected. So I think that there's going to be a few things that get filled out, on some big grid that it gets revealed on, like a tic-tac-toe board. And then you're going to know what most of them are. But I think there'll be some real surprises.
Yeah.
Something that none of us had any idea was going to be a movie.
Yeah. You know what? I just pulled up a list of characters that I was like scrolling through.
Yeah.
Like, who could he be in this list of Eternals? Makari could be an interesting one. He's like a speedster.
Ooh, I'm in.
So I don't like speedsters are always like fun. They like just like the Flash, like just being that fast gives you opportunity to be. There's something about speedsters that I think just lends itself to being funny.
Yeah, Quicksilver.
Like Quicksilver's
also.
funny.
Yeah.
Like just
Same.
because you can like. It's so easy to play practical jokes if you can run that fast, and you're moving faster.
Yeah.
So like that's just funny in its own right.
Yeah.
So Makari could be a good one. He's sort of like is it not Heracles? That's Hercules. Mercury. Is it Mercury with the winged feet?
Oh my
Shoes?
God.
That's not.
No.
That's the Roman equivalent.
Yeah.
I always thought that was
Hermes.
Thank you,
Hermes.
You got it.
I
was
got
like,
there.
I know what this is.
I
What
got
is
there.
it?
So he's sort of like the Hermes of this team because they're all like semi-based in like Greek gods and like you might even this might even be a way. I'd actually love this if this is how you introduce Hercules.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. Hercules would be
awesome.
a perfect opportunity to bring a bisexual character into the Marvel universe, and he is comic book established as bisexual.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
If Hercules is leading is like character-wise leading the Eternals movie, that could be really cool. I don't think that would be apart from Kumail Nanjiani.
No,
Unless
but-
he's going to get real swole real fast.
Like real swole though.
But I could see him slimming down to be a speedster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could just certainly see that. Yeah.
But now I'm too excited about the idea of Hercules being at the...
I'm telling you, Zach, they need to hire you. Like, I don't understand why Disney hasn't yet to like write.
Look,
The show's been out there for a while, guys. Let's get it
my
together.
DMs are open. No, they have a great team on the Eternals, but there's lots of other stuff I could do. Disney, my wallet and my DMs are open. Anyway, so that's the Eternals news. As far as what else is coming on that 5-year plan, hard to say. Probably at least one more Spider-Man movie inside those 5 years after
Yeah.
Far From Home. Which I feel like we've talked about this, and I don't know who had originally came up with this idea because I can't take credit for it at all. But I will repeat it to you guys. If the third Spider-Man movie using the home thing is Home for Christmas and it's a Christmas movie.
See, I was already
Not
thinking.
gonna be mad.
I was already thinking Home on the Range, and it's like a western. But I like your idea, or whoever's idea you're sharing. better.
Whether you decide, the other part of that is Peter Parker Jewish? Depends on the universe you're looking at.
I don't know that 616 Peter Parker has ever been established as. Yeah.
However, sorry, random aside that I just love.
This is important though.
They did establish, or at least like vaguely hint at, that Peter B. Parker in Spider-Verse is Jewish.
Wow.
Because but the Peter Parker from Miles' universe does not appear to be Jewish.
So that's Chris Pine versus Jake Johnson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So Jake Johnson's
and it's
Jewish.
purely in those quick little montages.
Yeah.
You see a very traditional wedding for Chris Pine's Spider-Man
Yeah.
to Mary Jane. But when they do the Peter B. Parker Spider like quick montage, and he says, "I'm getting married. I married her." It shows him stepping on a glass.
I do remember that now that you said it.
Which is a Jewish tradition,
Yeah,
and it's just a
absolutely.
Jewish tradition. Nobody else. I mean, like I have friends who come from like mixed families who don't have Jewish weddings, but they do it because they're partially Jewish.
Yeah.
But it's very Jewish to stomp on a glass at
Yeah.
your wedding, and he did it. So Peter B. Parker is Jewish.
All right, fair
Ah,
enough.
okay.
That
All right.
one is canon.
So then it would be Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays
Mm-hmm.
could work.
Yeah.
Home for the Holidays could work.
Do both
and,
Hanukkah and Christmas.
and we finally get a Hanukkah movie that's not weird and by Adam Sandler.
What? I love that movie. I watched it every year. I'm not joking.
Really quick, Zeno Hour chimes in. Spider-Man, homesick.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, because he's still on that planet and Far From Home is all in his brain.
And Mark Malam has Spider-Man Home Alone, which I would watch that movie every day.
That's amazing. All right. One more thing on the movie side, and then we're going to talk about that fun Hawkeye news. Real quick, one thing that the Russos talked about this week is they've said that that Endgame has Stan Lee's last cameo, and I'm quoting here, committed to film.
Wow.
Um,
Oh boy, what does that mean?
Well, that's what I thought. Their choice of words was really interesting because
Yeah,
they said that
Yeah.
they didn't say it's his last cameo, it's his final. Because I like the timeline would have like in terms of when he passed away makes sense that he would have already shot the one from Far From Home.
Yeah.
So the way that they said it makes it sound like it was his it was the last one he filmed, but it's not the last one we'll see.
Yeah, and they've often done his cameos kind of grouped together.
Yeah.
They do like 3 or 4, not on the same day, obviously. But so it would stand to reason that they knew how he'd be included in these films. But maybe the Endgame cameo was the last one he actually filmed.
Yeah. So
It's hard to imagine a Marvel movie without him in it.
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about it. He'll always be in it. They'll just figure out, like how we've seen in the TV series where there's like street art graffiti that's like a mural of Stan on the side of a wall
Yeah.
and stuff. So
It's still very different though than
Yeah.
having him actually have a speaking role.
it's true.
Strange.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what that is. They did say they spent like months picking it out, which one they're debating how they were gonna, which thing they're gonna do with him.
Wow.
So we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get into it. It's Marvel TV time.
Marvel movie news. We're talking TV time.
All right. You asked for it. For years, you've asked for it. Jeremy Renner has even said in the past that he'd be willing to do it, and now it's really coming. Hawkeye is getting a miniseries on Disney Plus. And not just that, if the rumors from the Hollywood Reporter are to be believed, we're not just getting a Clint Barton Hawkeye miniseries. We are going to get a Clint Barton, Kate Bishop Hawkeye series. Basically, it sounds like they're going to be adapting the Matt Fraction comics,
That
where
was 2005 that came out?
I don't remember exactly when.
2012, according to the
2012.
same Hollywood Reporter.
Ah, okay.
That may have been, Kate Bishop was introduced before she was in a series with
Okay, got
Clint.
it.
So you may be thinking of like when she was first introduced.
Yeah.
But they're specifically the series that they were in together, where you did have Clint Barton teaming up with Kate Bishop and training her to be the new Hawkeye. I could totally see this as a series. It'd be a great little 8-episode arc that you could do, and then you send her off into whatever you want to do next.
Yeah.
And either Clint retires or who knows. But are you guys excited?
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna be really cool. And I love those like teacher protege storylines. Those are always really fun.
Yeah.
They're always really heartwarming. I'm always like, aw.
Yeah, one of my favorite Marvel miniseries is the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries, where at the end of it, Kitty's a ninja. So that's all you need to know. And I think,
Yeah.
look, I love Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. Obviously, he hasn't had nearly enough to do in any of the movies he's in, especially
Agreed.
the first Avengers. And he was never going to get a movie. Let's just be honest. So the fact that he would be in this miniseries, I think, is great because it's also you're going to get a better, more developed story by it being a miniseries. You know, so I think that it's a perfect fit for this character who. Was always a character I really liked in the Avengers comics. So I think it's great to put him at the forefront like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. There's a certain implication with this that Hawkeye. They haven't said when it falls in timeline. It does sort of imply that Hawkeye's going to make it through Endgame if this series is going to be there. But we also you could also argue the same thing about Vision and Scarlet Witch and anyone else that has a series coming up. If Winter Soldier and Sam are getting, if Falcon and Winter Soldier are getting a series, or if they are going to do the Captain's America that I really want them to call it, both of those guys have to come from somewhere. You can't just do a show where they point it at a dust broom.
Yeah, and look, the assumption is that the Loki series would be set somewhere in the past, but at the end of the movie, at the end of Endgame, who knows where Loki is?
I still think it's a young Loki series, and he comes, and you started out with Tom Hiddleston, and then you bring a 12-year-old Loki or 13-year-old Loki to life, and you run from there.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
It would be a completely different take than anyone is expecting, but I think it could be really cool. And you could play him up against the Enchantress.
I mean, the important thing that they're doing with these series is that they're making sure right away that it's a Hawkeye series with Jeremy Renner. It's a Vision and Scarlet Witch with Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, etc. Because we've all seen TV series adapted from movies, and there's maybe one or no people from the original cast, and it just never works. So to do this and to make sure that we know, look, these are real, okay? That I think it makes it a lot easier to get excited about it. If there was going to be some other actor playing Hawkeye, we'd be like, well, it could be good, but we don't really know what we're going to get.
Right, and with this, what kind of acting chops or level that they're going to be at, and you can be excited for that because just bad acting just ruins good stories.
Yeah. So as far as the Hawkeye series goes, I'm really excited to see Kate Bishop, like how Clint meets her. Maybe it's just something where it's a Batman and Robin type of story where he's going to stumble upon a young protege who has the same skill set. Maybe it's archery competition. I hope they don't try to bend it so that she's his daughter or anything like that. I don't think they would,
weird.
Because it. I understand I would understand the impulse to do it because there is a certain he's training the next generation and if we have that one shot where he's showing his daughter how to shoot in the trailers where he's showing his daughter how to shoot a bow and arrow. But it could be a different connection. Like maybe Kate Bishop is a survivor of the Red Room or something like that. Like I'm totally fine bending sort of her introductions and stuff to, as long as they stay true to that character, but bending how she gets introduced into Clint's world.
How old is she roughly when she gets together with him?
I want to say she's a teenager.
Okay.
But I'm not sure her exact age. Ages in the Marvel Universe are a little bendy.
Yeah.
But she's a member of the Young Avengers.
Okay.
So she's, I believe, in her teens. But so I think that could be a cool thing, and it could just be. That's what I'm interested to see. What I would love to see is they take a little bit from the Old Man Logan storyline, and it's what if this is a blind Clint Barton?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Where he's just a blind archer who's still got it to a large extent.
That'd be awesome.
But so he starts training a new teacher. He sort of Mr. Miyagi's it.
I like
my
it.
God.
That's a great idea.
Oh my God. What if this is just the Karate Kid, but with archers in the Marvel universe?
Well, that's going to be one of the greatest series I've ever seen.
It's kind of what their story is. All right, that's what I want this to be. I want it to be the Karate Kid, but with Clint Barton and Kate Bishop. Go. Anyway, not a lot of other details on the series. It's just in development, so there's nobody attached to it outside of Jeremy Renner. The other series that are coming, we talked that they announced at the same time because Disney also unveiled what they're going to be doing with Disney Plus in the unscripted side. So documentary style stuff. They're not doing quote unquote reality TV shows as much. They do have some cool fun like cook. They're gonna add some like cooking shows and stuff like that. BR Chef has nothing to do with Marvel, but like that one made me giggle. It's a cooking show called BR Chef on Disney. It's cute. But there's 2 Marvel projects in the works. The big one is called Marvel's 616. And this is going to be an anthological documentary series exploring the intersection between Marvel's rich legacy of stories, characters, and creators, and the world outside your window. And so it looks like it's going to be sort of just a talking docu-series where they're going to have interviews with the writers that obviously Disney has all access to. They're going to tell the backstory on Marvel. Like, this is a very inside story, so you're not going to get the untold story of Marvel version, which is a book I highly recommend if you like old Marvel comics and want to hear about how they was all put together. You're not going to get like the underside of it, but you are going to get some really cool stuff about like the history of Marvel and the characters and all that stuff in this series, and they're going to look into like how it affected culture and history, because Marvel has had a huge impact on things, and that's going to be really cool. Tons of producers attached to it, including Joe Quesada, who's probably the only name that you guys would necessarily recognize right away. So take a look out for that. The other one coming, I'm just gonna spit all this information out to you, and then I want to hear your guys' reactions, is Marvel's Hero Project, which is going to be following around with, and this is, I'm just going to read the description. Marvel's Hero Project reveals the remarkable positive change several young heroes are making in their own communities. These inspiring kids have dedicated their lives to selfless acts of bravery and kindness, and now Marvel celebrates them as the true superheroes that they are. So it sounds like it's a feel-good series that's like spotlighting some kids who are doing like real work in the charity. But it's going to be produced by Marvel, and it's part of Marvel's Hero Project. Are you excited for either of these shows, guys?
Yeah, that sounds cool. I mean, I feel like the first one is awesome just because you get to sort of find out more about it, especially for more casual fans too. I think it'll be cool. They just want to know more about it. The second one I think is awesome. Just, I'm not going to go on too much of a rant, but I get really tired of people who just spend a bunch of time yelling on Twitter but don't actually do anything. So I would like to see that spotlighted. I think that's going to be awesome. I think seeing people actually do things instead of just running their mouth.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Hero Project, it'll be interesting to see, you know, there have been shows like that before, but this one being produced by Marvel, it'd be interesting to see what their angle is and, you know, how they incorporated with, I mean, how they utilize the Marvel branding, because it could be Disney's Hero Project, you know? I mean, so the fact that it's Marvel specific, I'm more interested in finding out more about that. But yeah, obviously the 616 is going to be, you know, one of those things that I hope that it's released binge style, so I can, you know, go through like whatever 10, 12 episodes, you know, of all these things.
2 days.
Yeah, just all the stuff about the history, all this stuff that I love to. It's like, just imagine going down, you know, like a Wikipedia about just various comic book storylines and, you know, what happened and all that. You know, just being able to sit back and see that. So that one, I think that it's such a wide open possibility for what that one, you know, some of the stories that they'll touch on. So yeah, I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I know that like 616, the 616 show is one that I will 100% watch. The Marvel's Hero Project is like, I'll probably check it out. It's less something that I tend to like just like watch on like as a casual viewer,
right? But
it is cool that they're like, it's a cool thing that they're doing, and a great way to draw attention to people who do good things. Very much the Marvel brand. Real quick, also in TV time, I know that you guys talked about it on Marvel TV Weekly.
We sure did.
But just real quick, how did you guys feel about the Cloak and Dagger premiere? I only was able to watch the first hour.
Okay.
So, well, that's half of it. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to be very I'm gonna try really hard not to knock it. I feel mostly the same as I always have about the show, but I'm gonna go into the positives. I like the storyline that they're going with Mayhem. I think that that's going to be really cool. That's going to be an interesting story. I'm excited that they have 2, and they're not doing. We talked about this on Marvel TV Weekly.
Let's keep spoilers to a minimum. I know it hasn't aired in all territories
but
yet.
there's a cool reveal at the end of the second hour.
Yeah, so we'll just say that. I'll shut up.
that
Sorry.
even watching the first two, like, I just didn't see coming. It's
Yeah.
not something from the comic book.
So
it was
that
re-
at
it
least
was
is cool.
It was a really cool surprise, and I'm like, good. I don't know. I think there's times where you might get annoyed when they don't stick to a comic book blueprint, and then other times it's like, oh, this will be really interesting to see how they make this work, because this will be different and it'll be fun. I obviously like the show more than Xia does, so I was excited about everything except the music in it, which is always the case. But,
we know that.
I think they're great, and I like seeing them use their powers. I like the fact that Tyrone can do the little teleportation jumps now.
I do like that we're seeing more of that right off the bat.
Yeah.
So it's less of them struggling with it and more
Yeah.
of them learning to use it regularly.
Well, I like the idea that the struggle is to not just use your powers all the time because
Right.
you have them, which I think that a lot of us, if we had them, would be like, yeah, I'm gonna just
God, are you kidding me?
teleport to the fridge and get ice cream so that I don't have to actually walk. You know?
Yeah.
So,
Or teleport inside of places after they're closed. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm excited about it.
yeah.
I'm excited to keep watching this series. It's fun. I like the first hour. Like, I think it's doing cool stuff with the characters and, you know, everything that we've gotten so far. I also I realized, like, I missed a S.H.I.E.L.D. story, and I'm embarrassed about it. And I can't watch it.
Zach.
But I want to talk about, mainly because, like, now that the pilot's out there, I don't want to, like, spoil my own fun of watching this show.
Yeah.
Right.
But we will get into some more S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff as we get closer to the premiere. I mean, it's fun to see these characters brought back, like, see a little bit of action between May and Yo-Yo. Like, we're going to get fun action stuff again from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
I'm excited to see what they do. I don't know how I missed this. I'm so embarrassed, you guys. I'm a bad S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
I can't believe it.
You're gonna have to turn in
I never
your
thought I would see
badge.
this day come.
No, I'll never turn in my badge.
I know we only have a few minutes, but did we actually explain where we're coming live from today? That whole
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Oh, we don't have a ton of time to talk about the Thanos butt story.
Right. That's kind of what I meant. Like,
Which is
and
part of the other reason is there's just a lot to talk about.
There was a lot.
But
and you do mean but. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm very
nice.
proud of that. Thank you.
Very nice.
let's.
No buts about it, guys.
So the theory
wacky
is
theory.
that, like, why couldn't Ant-Man just? I'm just gonna real quick because we don't have a ton of time. Why couldn't Ant-Man just jump up Thanos' butt, turn himself into Giant Man, and explode Thanos from the inside out?
I mean, look, he really could. I feel like Thanos would not see him coming if he's this big. At the same time, it'd be a really messy job.
It would be.
Yeah.
Really messy.
But just think about the stories
Scott
you could
Lang's
tell.
dirty enough to do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if anybody in the Marvel Universe could do it,
Click
yeah.
this color.
Pym would never do it. but, you
It's
can-
really interesting. Like Paul Rudd's even joked about it now, like on Jimmy Kimmel, and you had Neil deGrasse Tyson explain that, like, yeah, theoretically that could work.
Yeah.
I love that they had to get his theory on it, or
I
his
think
take on it. Sorry.
there's a much better, like, less horrifying and also likely more effective way to do this, which is go into, as Thanos said, go for the head.
Yeah.
If you explode from, like, go into his ear canal and mess up his brain or explode his brain that way.
But maybe he would see from his peripherals, you coming from behind, you get more of the element of surprise.
Or, frankly, here's my thing with this theory is, if you're gonna use Pym particles to kill someone, there's so many more effective ways. Literally, you could just shrink him
Yeah.
with one of those discs and he would die, because we've established in this universe that if you shrink somebody that's not in a containment suit, they die.
Oh, yeah.
Good point.
Pym particles, I mean, maybe Thanos' biology is different and he would just be real small.
Just
Yeah.
a tiny mad Thanos yelling and snapping his
Which I
gauntlet.
would also love to see.
Would tiny Infinity Stones be less effective than regular size? I say no. I think
Probably
you'd have
not.
just as much power if the gauntlet were the size of, like, the thimble from Monopoly.
But I would argue that the Pym particles likely would not have any effect on the Infinity Stones.
thought that too, and it
So
would
they
stay
would just
giant.
fall out of the glove, and you just have 5 Infinity Stones on the ground and a tiny Thanos like under them.
Hey guys, turn it back now.
I'm telling you,
amazing.
it's gonna be hilarious.
That would be amazing.
I did see a comment just now. Does Thanos even have a butt?
It's a great question.
Biologically, I'm going to say yes, he
We're gonna
does.
assume that he sits on something.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, if he eats food, he would have to get rid of excrement somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I enjoy the inventiveness of
Yes,
this theory.
I love that this is out there.
I do think there's just way more effective ways to use Pym particles to defeat Thanos. Now that we have Scott running around, hopefully they'll try to use some of them. But of course, you can't just stop him. You also need to get everybody back without just like killing him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Thanos from there. Let's real quick go through some Doom's Question Corner questions. This one up first from Tyler Kelson, and this is the one I was teasing earlier to you, Zia. Tyler asks, is there any one thing that you would consider a must to happen in this film? And Tyler actually has his own specific,
Okay. Yeah.
which is you definitely want to hear Captain America say, Avengers Assemble,
You know
which
what?
has to be, they have to
Yeah.
have saved this. Having just rewatched Age of Ultron recently, when they like blue ball us with it, Avengers, and the damn movie. So do you guys have anything that you're like, I have to see this?
Yes, Tyler. Yes, I do. I have to see all of them survive.
Oh, well,
good luck with
you're
that.
looking at this from like a fan standpoint and what you want. I mean, I think from a storytelling standpoint, it's like I'm certain there's going to be people who stay dead that it'll be very upsetting. And I'm looking at you, Steve Rogers. Every indication is why would he go on past this? So I don't need that because it's not because I want it, but I feel like for what they're setting up, that I feel like that's one thing that we have to see. But I don't know, Zach,
No,
what do
he
you
can
think
go
has to be
into
in there?
retirement. He can just retire, and then we don't ever have to see him again.
Old man Cap?
Yes.
Nah, I'm not interested.
That's in House of M. He's Old Man Cap.
I really want to see, it's really just like character pairings that I really want to see. Like I want to get some of the most like absurd people in the same room.
Yeah.
Like I want to see Wasp like meet up. I want to see like Hank and Tony meet up.
yeah, that'd be
like,
cool.
I don't
That'd
think
be
that's like too much. That's for very minor. But like I also want to see like the way that I want to see how like Wasp might interact and fight alongside people like I feel like Natasha Romanoff, especially this version of her, and Hope Pym would get along super well.
Yeah. I mean, in that vein, it's like the fact that none of us went into Infinity War thinking like, oh, I can't wait to see Thor and Rocket hang out together. But then afterwards, like, oh, that was so great. That's so like, there's some pairing that we don't even know that we're gonna be like, oh, that's so great that these two were together in this movie. So
Yeah, and I guarantee you it's gonna be whoever hangs out with Scott Lang, because Paul Rudd's just
Yeah.
like got too much charisma, and whoever you put him in a room with
Yeah.
is gonna be having too
just
much
off
fun.
the top of my head, Scott Lang and Nebula. Because
Oh my
she doesn't
God.
have any personality.
You know who it is right there, and we know they're gonna hang out. Scott and Thor
Yeah.
are gonna have like Chris Hemsworth and Paul Rudd are comedy machines.
I agree.
And I can't wait to see like what nonsense they probably improv just being in a room together. The outtakes with those two.
Oh my God, you could have Thor, Rocket, and Scott. Just the three of them, but dynamic threesome.
Three Musketeers? Is that
yeah,
what you wanted?
there you go.
Something like that?
sounds better. I was like dynamic
think- yeah,
trio.
The Triumphant Trio.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go. That sounds
okay.
better.
That's good.
Yeah, there's so much we can talk. Anyway, one other thing. Bad Wolf Bay at Bad Wolf Bay 10. Jocelyn asks, should I not have my hopes up that the Winter Soldier will be in the Black Widow movie, even just a cameo? I think there is. I would say don't get your hopes up because although Widow says that she has like heard of him and like hints about, she establishes that she never really fully interacted with him. Like she considers him somewhat of a myth that might exist, but to have him there would be a little bit too confirming for the way that he and her interact in Winter Soldier. So I would say don't hold out too much hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, he's got his own Captain's America series to handle on Disney Plus. All right, guys. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We'll make sure that we talk about the Shield stuff that's coming out next week as we get closer and closer to that May 10th premiere. They did put out a bunch of character posters as well, but so stick around. We'll talk about that next episode and a bunch of other stuff, I'm sure, as we get closer and closer to Endgame. Guys, next week we will be 1 week away. 1 week.
I'm not ready.
I'm ready.
I need it to be
super
tomorrow.
ready. I was ready like eight,
The hell, guys.
8 weeks ago. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on Marvel Movie News. Christian Bladt.
Hi.
Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ, and you can find Xia and myself Sunday nights on our sister network, AfterBuzz TV, talking about Marvel TV Weekly. That is 9 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about a little bit of some of the things that we talked about in TV time here, including the alluded to Shield stuff. But we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive on the character of Hawkeye that you might not know. So we'll talk about that as well.
Xia?
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Xia_land. It's spelled XIA_land. And yeah, that stuff.
Hey guys, I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson. Also be sure to check out my other podcast, Ships in the Night, which is a cross fandom shipping show where we have a writer's room. We break down the crossover specials between characters that are from way different universes. Headlining the one we just put out was Mark Zuckerberg from The Social Network and Lex Luthor from Batman vs. Superman. It's Jesse Eisenberg Lugfest on Ships in the Night. It's available on iTunes and
That's amazing.
iTunes, Google, Spotify, all those places. Until next week, guys, this has been Marvel Movie News. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.